So much for joining us today. I'm glad you
Yeah,
could spend a little time with the Nexus crew. I know everybody really appreciates it.
no, I'm glad to do it. I'm excited about it.
Well, we're going to talk about something I know that's on a lot of people's minds is finances. And I think before we jump in, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell people what you do and also just how you got connected with Nexus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Chuck McGuire. I have married, have a wife, two kids. They're awesome. We moved to Charlotte about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago now, and moved to Matthews about a year and a half ago. And so we've loved being here in the area. And so what I do is I help families get on track financially. Primarily middle income families will help anyone, but we're kind of geared towards helping working class, middle income families get out of debt, save for retirement, and get on track. And got connected with you guys. I just saw an ad on Instagram and came over and met with you, checked out the space, and have held an event there since then, and just really have gotten to know you guys and enjoy getting to know you guys and what you guys are about.
Great. Well, we're so glad to have you as a friend and a partner. So I've heard this joke, Chuck. I need you to tell me if it's true as we dive
Okay.
in. In the midst of coronavirus, I've heard people say that your 401k is like your face. Don't touch it. Do
Exactly.
you agree?
Yes.
Do you not
Yes.
agree? What do you
Absolutely.
what do you think about that?
Yes. Absolutely. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. Yeah. Completely agree.
Cool. Well, tell me a little bit about what are some of the things that we can do. I know you mentioned to me that in the midst of this time, and probably in any time, like continuing to take a look at our financial status and evaluating it.
Mhm.
But how should we be thinking about that right now?
Yeah, I mean, it right now is a great opportunity to reevaluate, to look again at what it is that you're doing, a budget. If you don't have one, it's a good time to start to implement one and look at what you're spending. A lot of people will find things that they didn't even realize when they start digging into their finances. A lot of times, subscriptions or things that are just coming out automatically that you don't even realize are there until you dig in, and you can usually save a significant amount if you'll evaluate what's going on there. And another way is looking at things, ways to reduce other bills as well. So looking at whether it's a cell phone bill, whether it's cable, different things like that. A lot of times, a lot of those places you can call and ask for a discount, or if you switch from one carrier to another or a different plan, a lot of times you can save some money that way. So now's a good time to be looking into that stuff. I know things are tight right now for people, especially people
Yeah.
who've been laid off or out of work. And so that's one thing to be doing right now is just reevaluating your plan, and making sure you have a plan. If you have a plan in place, reevaluating it, make sure what's going on. If you don't, you should be making sure that you get with someone and come up with a plan, an overall plan for your finances.
I think that's really good advice. And your point on the subscriptions thing, it just adds up, right? Like you add, streaming or all these different things, and all of a sudden, if you
Yeah.
really do take a moment, even though two, three, $10 here doesn't seem like a lot, it absolutely adds up over time. So I think that's
Sure.
great advice. What about there are some people who maybe are looking at this and saying, I'm secure in my job and potentially, I've heard that maybe this might be a good time to be thinking about what opportunities are out there, whether it be an investment or other things. How would you recommend that people think through that?
Yeah, I would say, obviously, no matter what position you're in, now's not the time to panic. And like you said, the joke you let off with, now's not the time to start touching things too much. Certainly don't panic and pull everything out. Um, this isn't new. Crisis isn't new.
Yeah.
So we're we have a history of going in and out of crisis throughout history, and the market does what it does. But it never seems like it's going to. But to this point, 100% of the time, it has recovered. And
Yeah.
so, especially if you have a longer time horizon before you are starting to draw money before you get to retirement, being patient right now is the thing to do. But also, yeah, looking at opportunities, getting with whoever helps you with those things, and looking at opportunities to maybe rebalance where things are invested. Maybe to being able to take advantage of some opportunities for when things do recover, to take advantage of the most growth that you can. When markets go down like this, as they recover, people are able to do really well if they are positioned themselves well. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Taking advantage of just reevaluating with your financial professional to make sure that you're balanced well and positioned well to take advantage of that recovery.
Yeah, I mean, I think two good thoughts, in that is one, talk to a professional, right? Like, probably don't
Yeah.
want to start to try to figure out all this, become like a day trader today on your own or
Yeah.
something. So, getting some really good sound advice in the midst of that. And I
Mm.
think to your point, it having that long-term thought process and
Yeah.
just, yes, things can feel and make you feel a bit anxious right now, but to your point, things do recover. And so how do we just make sure that we don't, use fear or anxiety to drive decision making, right? And
For
that
sure.
we can, and just have a little patience in the
Absolutely.
context of this.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
what if I need a little extra cash right now? What are some thoughts if I, potentially know we have people out there that either they've taken pay cuts or they're on furlough. I mean, there's a lot of things that people are dealing with and it's making budgets really tight.
Yeah.
What can we be doing?
Yeah, I mean, so now's a great opportunity to start looking at, especially if you've been, laid off, if your hours have been reduced, or even if not, even if you're in a position where you do feel secure right now, but maybe this has been a wake-up call, that next time around you might not be so lucky, and so the crisis could be different and affect you in a different way, and so so just taking the opportunity to make sure that you have different sources of income, if that's whether that's a side gig, some type of an Uber, Lyft, that kind of thing. Airbnb, if you have a space in your house that you can rent out, something that could provide us an additional source of income for you if your job did happen to go away for a period of time. Other things that you can do, starting some kind of, your photography business or that Etsy store that you want to start, something like that to create some more income. Or other part-time jobs on the side, something that you can do part-time. We're looking for people part-time and full-time right now. So anything that people can do part-time on the side, especially things that allow them flexibility,
Yeah.
whether they can home or that kind of thing. And so anything that you can do part-time on the side, side gigs, side hustles, starting that small business on the side that provides that extra income. So you're more secure, feel more secure, and have that extra backup plan if things happen like this in the
I
future.
love that idea, and I think it's just awesome advice. There's so many people, like we have some passion, that maybe it isn't what we're doing at work every day. And so your point of like Etsy, or if you have some trade or craft that you're great at, or I mean, there's just so many things that sometimes you're like, hey, if I could, I would do this all day long. And maybe you can start that just on the side. It doesn't have to be like the full-time gig that you do. But to your point, it gives you some margin and some breathing room that if something does happen financially, that you've created, a business that can help, especially when, if crisis or something comes, that you have something to fall back on.
For sure.
I
Yeah,
love that.
now would be the time, especially if you have the extra time right now.
Yeah.
If there's something you've been wanting to do, now would be the time to start working on it. So
I love that. So, how can people reach out to you, and what are some of the things that you do to help people? Because we want to make sure that if maybe they don't have a professional to work with right now, how can people access you? How can they find you?
yeah, so they can find me following. You've linked my Instagram account, so on there you can find there's the call button. You can just call me directly. It calls my cell phone. So I have linked that on my Instagram account, so you can find that there. You can find me through Instagram. I have been doing events. I'm starting to do them online. So we've transitioned. We were working on it before, but now because of the necessity of coronavirus, it has sped up this process of doing our business primarily online. And so, so now I can meet with people completely online. We're doing events now completely online that people can plug into and really get an education on. It's a finance 101.
Great.
It's a basic class on, it's about 30 to 40 minutes. And then at the end of that, they have an opportunity if they want to follow up with us and want more information specific to their situation. We can follow up with them and meet with them. Once this is over, if they're local, we could do that face to face if they like, or we can do that online. And certainly if they're not local, we can do that online as
That's
well.
great. Well, Finance 101 in 40 minutes instead of a semester of college sounds awesome. So I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a good starting point. For sure.
Awesome. Well, we will ensure that we link your site again to everyone. And then this video we will post on all of our social handles so that people that weren't able to join us can watch and ensure that they have the opportunity to learn your advice. I think you have great points that is super helpful to everyone. And I appreciate the 10 minutes of spending time with us.
Thanks, Christine. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too.
Bye.